One day, we get a call from the gas station. They told us that we need to stop letting our people use their microwave to heat their pee.
Then they hop on a golf cart
Put the
and start
mascots
driving around the facility in mascot costumes, flipping off every security camera they can find.
This is The Bad Hire, the show with the best stories about the worst employees.
We fired him, of course.
People are crazy.
It's like an HR nightmare.
Right? One bad hire stole all of it.
Crazy stuff. She got what she deserved.
Oh.
I'm your host, Ken Monroe, and every week we dive into real-life stories from the wild world of work and what can happen when the wrong person gets the job. These stories aren't just crazy, they're cautionary tales about lessons learned the hard way. Let's get started.
All right, hi everyone, and welcome to The Bad Hire, the podcast where hiring disasters meet guaranteed firings. I'm back today with Nathan and Emma.
Welcome.
Correct.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm good.
You're good?
Yep.
All right.
Ready for some stories?
You ready
Yep.
for some stories? All right, every week we dive into the wildest, the weirdest, and the most jaw-dropping hiring fails from offices, job sites, organizations, nonprofits, you name it, wherever that bad hires happen. So, send it to us. Don't forget, we have a contest running this year. Send us your stories. That enters you into the contest. It should be a bad hire story. It could be a bad interview. It could be a bad first day on the job. It could be just a flame out after some period of time. Something. You know the stories you love to tell. We think everybody's got a story, especially in the recruiting and hiring business. Everybody's got a story, probably lots of them that you love to tell when you're hanging out with your friends. So we want to hear those stories. People love to hear them. And so send them in. Send them into thebadhire.com. What we're going to do, we'll select the best after the end of the year. The winner gets $10,000. All right.
Nice.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. I've just got one today. So, but it's a couple little stories rolled into one. So I'll kick it off.
Interesting.
Okay. Oh, it's probably like a couple of like, oh, I hired these three people and this person did this person did this.
Maybe.
This person did this.
I don't know.
You're predicting my stories? This is the story of the greatest job exit I've ever heard.
It's a good intro.
You like that? So, as a recruiter, as a recruiter, place a guy in a role. Not just him, and his best friend.
Okay.
Always a bad idea, probably.
Same company, same contract, and it's perfect. They love the job. The company loves them. Everybody's winning. You're thinking, all right, this is what hiring is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the end of the contract. The company extends both of them full-time offers, like rollover offers. Basically, we want you here permanently.
Okay.
Right?
So
That's a
it's
dream scenario for
going
everybody
well.
involved. The only catch is that the rollover process is taking a little longer than they expected. And this was over 10 years ago, right?
Okay.
So it's in the middle of nowhere, right? Court records apparently weren't online in that location. So the background check literally required someone to go pull paperwork by hand at the time. So the company's working on it. So I guess they're saying we didn't do one previously.
So they were just contractors before.
And we didn't screen our contractors before we sent them to you. So the company's working on it, but these two guys decide they're done waiting on their background checks. And instead of asking, HR, instead of being patient, instead of doing anything remotely normal, they choose complete chaos. So
good. Let's
they
hear about it.
somehow find where the company stores the company mascot costumes.
Okay. We're going to get one of those.
What kind of company is this?
They put them on. Then they hop on a golf cart
Put the
and start
mascots on?
driving around the facility in mascot costumes, flipping off every security camera they can find. They park the cart, walk off the job, and they're never seen again.
I'm about to sound like our comments on our videos right now. That is not real.
They were,
So, like, that is
Sounds
real.
unreal.
they were days away from full-time offers, and they chose an all-time bad hire exit.
Just to not wait for 2 days, they blew up their careers.
There's no way that actually happened.
If this was you, we need you to comment. Oh yeah, that was me. Me
If
and my
you
friend.
submitted this story on Reddit 10 years ago,
No. I think he's saying that
he's
was
telling the
10
story.
years ago, not the story.
if you submitted this story on Reddit and said that it happened
this
10
happened to
years
you.
ago, please let us know
Yeah.
if it's actually real.
we want to know if this really happened.
Yeah, like it said, instead of doing anything sane or normal,
Here's
they
what
blew
happens
up their
every time we
careers.
say, or that can't be true, right? Or I don't think this one's true, or someone.
That's probably the first one where I've been like, there's no way that's
All the
Oh,
other ones
there's
are
been, there's
believable.
been a couple more. I was like,
think
okay,
it's
whatever.
the first one
just-
for me.
Yeah, you know which one really got me? It was the one where there's like, hey, we changed the rule book. The employee.
Oh, and he punched him in the face.
So the guy said, I get 3 warnings, right?
he
So I
punched him in
punched
the
him
face.
twice, and I was like, okay, I think that's like
I could believe that one.
that's like some folklore HR story that gets told,
It's like a joke.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
a joke, right? But every time we say, "Oh, that can't be true," there's like always someone that says, "No, I had something exactly like that happen to me,"
Which is also
it's like this
crazy.
unlimited.
And that's what's been wild about all the ones getting submitted to us is like, okay, well, like, this person I guess could be submitting a completely fake story to try and win the contest. I guess you could do that, but this is actually somebody's
Please don't do that.
lived experience. I guess so. Maybe we should verify it somehow. But it's not just pulled from Reddit. I guess some of these are pulled from Reddit and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, that's crazy.
All right, Nathan.
They sound very dumb. All right. I've got one quick story, and then we got a couple video clips of stories that people have been submitting their stories and asking to be a guest on the show, but when they're in some other state far away from where we record here in North Carolina. I just pulled them onto a Riverside clip. So we record on Riverside just like Zoom. So if you do have a story and you actually want to be on the podcast as a guest, but you can't make it to our studio in North Carolina, just hit us up and we'll have you in. At the very least, we've posted a couple full-length episodes of like the full recorded virtual episodes, but at the very least, we'll like take your stories and have them here on the show. So anyways, you got a couple of those too. But first, I've got one quick story. Okay. At my company, we had a drug testing facility that we sent our people to that was about 5 minutes away from our office. One day, we get a call from the gas station that shared a parking lot with the drug testing facility. They told us that we needed to stop letting our people use their microwave to heat their pee because somebody had heated it so long and it had turned black and they had to evacuate the gas station due to the smell. So that's the whole story. So I guess people were trying to cheat on their drug tests because like when you do a drug test, they see if it's warmed because you can't just like bring in somebody else's
the
pee.
temperature testing.
Right.
And so people were trying to cheat by sneaking over to the gas station, microwaving the pee, and then sneaking back
Yeah,
into
so
the
they're
drug
taking a
testing
sample
facility.
with them from someone who's clean.
I have never been into a gas station that has a microwave. Where are the
What?
gas
Oh,
stations?
7-Elevens, they have like the hot dogs, they got the pee, it's all right there.
You know what this? You know
What?
what? No, you know what this tells me about you. It's like someone always goes and gets your stuff for you.
You're absolutely
You're in the
right.
car and you're like, can you get me, a coffee drink and
A hot dog.
I'm not going in by myself.
Especially not this one. Stay away from this gas station.
there's a microwave in every gas station
I
in the world.
I have just never noticed.
At least every 7-Eleven. To be fair, I don't really eat there, so I don't think I've
I
ever
don't
used
either,
it
really.
before.
Well,
But I have walked
I
past
think you have to work in construction to eat there.
it, for sure.
I mean, they're like,
Is that a dig at construction?
no, it's if you go into a Circle K's have like turned it into
Those
a
are nice.
deli, right?
They have like the 89-cent burritos, which are amazing. And
But
then they have
initially they
and they've
started
got the
building like, hey,
microwave.
you can get hot dogs, and they started building other food stuff. And a lot of construction, a lot of outdoor, where you might be dirty, right? So you're not going to go sit in a restaurant. Maybe you don't want to run through a drive-through. You can come here. You can kind of load up on, your energy drinks plus grab something to
So like
eat.
I've been into gas stations where obviously they're
I've been to
like
gas stations before.
I've been into
I've
gas
pumped
stations.
gas before.
I have been
There was
into
this
gas
once
stations where
when-
like they have like the warmers in there with the food on it. Is that what they're talking about?
Taquitos and stuff.
Yeah, is
Near-
that what they're talking about?
Adjacent to there, yeah. So you're right. They got the taquitos and the pizza. I've got like a 7-Eleven or something like that. But then we're kind of around the corner. Some places have places like the little thing you can pump your own nacho cheese with their nachos, and
Yeah,
yet
some
next to that
good
is like
ones,
the microwave for like again like the frozen burritos or something like that.
Marcus eats there all the time.
Right? Yeah, he likes it. I mean, it
I've
is.
just
it is a
never
delicacy.
noticed.
Yeah,
That's not the first spot I go to when I go into a gas station. So I've
It's
just never
also open
noticed
at
it.
midnight.
yeah, all year round, it's like all day, 24 hours.
But the
a day.
last time my buddy was in town, we ended up at one like at midnight.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Before we dive back into the chaos on the bad hire, this episode is brought to you by BChex. Hiring shouldn't feel like rolling the dice. Background checks should come with great tech, seamless integration, and customer service that delivers. That's BChex. Lightning fast results, unmatched accuracy, built-in fraud prevention. We help you hire the right people. Now, BChex plugs into over 100 HRIS and ATS systems, so your background checks run smooth, fast, and backed by top-level service. Protect your team, protect your reputation, protect your sanity. Go to BChex.io. That's BChex.io.
All right,
Well,
what do we
sorry.
got? Okay, Emma.
My bad.
All right. Wait, so we're gonna do a couple Riverside reacts. Is that
Yeah,
right?
sure.
We're gonna do a couple segment reacts.
This
No,
is-
I call these segments. I don't know. Come to a segment on the show. Talk to a
Yeah.
producer. We'll interview you.
This is an episode with Steve. Steve is amazing. He's one of my favorite guests I've talked to. He's out in Los Angeles, and he
Cool background.
yeah he is. He has a very cool background. I think we might post more of his clips like on our social media and stuff like that. But this is one of the stories that he told me.
It was a kid who came in looking for a tech spot, and he literally went from high school to a 90-day coding camp. Like, he never went to college, never got a job, never worked anywhere. Straight out of high school, 3-month coding camp. I had an interview with him. He wanted $140,000 to start. And this was 8 years ago. And even today, that's as a starting salary. I think 140 is probably on the high side. And I said, look, I'm not doubting that you're able to do this, but you've never had a job. I said, I don't know how you're going to be as an employee. You have 0 references, you have 0 experience, and you look good on paper. You check all the boxes, regarding software development, but I just, in good conscience, I can't hire you right now. And I said, look, the other thing you should be aware of is when you come into an interview, it's going to be slanted towards the employer. You're there to kind of serve their needs initially, at least. Yeah, they're going to compensate you, but that's the balance. You do the work, they pay you. And it can't be the first thing out of your mouth is, what are my days off, or can I work, certain days from home? He didn't know. And again, I didn't hold it against him personally. I was just trying to help him, but I said, you straight out of high school and you have 0 experience with a work, and the money you're asking for is pretty healthy. I said, I'm not going to hire you. I might hire you at half that, and maybe you can come back in 6 months or a year when you've got something under your belt, but I just can't do it. It was shocking to me. That's where we are. And this is, LA, and it's kind of the tech stuff. But again, your choice as a company, as a hiring person to bring somebody on your team, and you don't always have to say yes.
Okay, there's a lot crazy in LA, but
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So at what 18 or maybe in 22, I guess.
Expecting that much right out of high school is just insane to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a 3-month coding camp, and I'm
good.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be in the top 2%.
Thinking that the 3 months is enough is also crazy, because
Yeah.
I did a lot of that in college, and it's still difficult.
I like
Yeah.
Steve, but he did say the kid checked all the boxes. I'm like, wait, he's just out of high school and he went to a 3-month coding camp.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah,
wanting
maybe
$140,000 a year.
on paper, it's like, do you know how to do this? Oh, I know how to do that. Do you know how to do this? Yeah, I know how to do that.
That's one
But
thing
what's
to
your
say.
experience? It's like, oh, I did a coding camp I found on YouTube.
Yeah,
I'll take the
it's
job
one
now.
thing to say, oh yeah, I can do that.
Now we've had we actually have hired developers out of both. We actually ran an experiment one time and hired out of a coding camp and out of like
Is it
4-year
university?
degree,
Yeah.
university degree, and I think we found out they were both talented, both could write code, in the end. So I think it's up to the student, what they might be looking for, a 4-year experience, an opportunity to grow and learn a lot more than just everything, compressed into.
And if you're actually able
coding
to
camp.
prove your abilities to them.
That's probably.
There's something about there's something about going to school that says to me about someone I'm capable of getting up, going to class, getting things done, not only in subjects I love, but in subjects I don't. Right.
Yep.
That's a huge one. If I love coding and I go to a coding boot camp, like, man, I just landed in the stuff I love. I was like, but work every day is not exactly
Yeah.
stuff you love.
Yeah.
You still got to get it done. You still got to get an A on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, not that I know anything about coding, but I imagine that having some years under your belt of actually doing in the real world, like for an actual company, would probably speak volumes to somebody who's hiring for something like that versus,
Definitely.
I
'cause
know how to do that
if
kind
you're
of stuff.
going through like a coding camp, you probably have certain prompts that you have to go through. So I feel like it's very organized as compared to like if you're in the real world and doing some type of coding, then it's going to be different every day compared to what you're doing if you're just doing a simple little
Yeah.
prompt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing a prompt in camp or, even. So what's next? What do you got?
I got one more story with Veronica, who's also in hiring, and she was telling me about a story who did not go as planned. I guess I'll leave that as the lead in.
Okay.
I guess that's how they all are, but this is Veronica.
I had this great candidate who absolutely nailed the interview process, great energy, super personable, asked very thoughtful questions, the type of candidate that you're in a meeting, you're in a call, and everybody gets off and it says, okay, when can he start? It was that great. We made an offer, accepted immediately. He stayed in touch with me throughout, and we tend to hire a couple months prior to their start date because we have firm start dates. I was surprised and actually like that he stayed in touch, constantly checking in during the background check, excited messages about his start date, and genuinely pumped up to be here, to be joining the team. Fast forward to his first week of work, I get a message from his GM, the general manager, that stops me cold. He's like, he's missing. He's not late, not logged off early, but missing. He hadn't showed up for training for 2 days straight. And so I'm thinking that can be right. The GM asked me if I heard from him. I said, no, unfortunately I haven't. He didn't text me or anything, which was already strange. Then the GM, the general manager, drops the next bomb. They reached out to his emergency contact, his mother, and she hadn't heard from him in 2 days either. Even says that she filed a police report. At that point, it's no longer a hiring issue, it's more of a human issue. Months go by, we don't hear back from him or no updates. We eventually reopen the position. One day, months later, curiosity got the best of me. And I said, let me just do a quick Google search because I found his name. I was like, let me see if I can find some information. And there it was in a newspaper article. Smiling, featured, promoting his brand new business, inviting people to join him in his new big endeavor. And it was at that moment I realized something. Sometimes candidates don't ghost you, they vanish and rebrand.
I was so
How
confused. by that
interesting.
at
How
first.
interesting.
She told me that story, and I was like, "What?" Like he disappeared, and then just kind of
His
came
mom
back.
filed a
2
police
days,
like, "Oh, I
report,
started a business."
and then months later, he's like, "Oh, here he is."
I have a startup now.
2 days of training.
is.
Well, no, there's two things crazy, right? 2 days of training, and he realized, oh, I don't like corporate, bro.
Yeah, and
I know.
ghosted
No, I don't
not
like
just the
corporate.
employer, but ghosted.
I'm
his
sorry,
own
my own
mom.
deal.
Ghosted-
I'm kidding me.
Ghosted his mom too.
Yeah, is that crazy?
What could he have started?
I don't
It's
know.
like, yeah,
Some kind of tech startup about vanishing and disappearing from the world. I guess I don't know.
That's very strange.
Is that weird?
right. And then to the ghost. My mother, I'd have had to been disappeared for like 3 months for my mom would have considered calling the cops.
Yeah. Like, I haven't heard from
Well,
Ken
I
in a
haven't
while.
heard from him. He might be dead.
He must be busy. Yeah.
His mom called the cops after 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
don't
that's a man.
I mean, my mom
I'm
would.
telling you right now, that's someone who's connected to their mom.
It's the
Like
emergency
that means you're
contact.
talking like 2-3 times a day. She's in,
Like I didn't hear from.
but
him
the
today.
second day she's like, "Oh, this is a cop matter." This is and
They-
my son. They
the
call
whole-
me. That's
get the law
he's probably
involved.
dead.
Yeah.
So it
That's
seems like
what your mom.
it seems like something
No,
that mom
no,
would
How
say.
often how often do you talk to your mom?
What? Every day.
Every day.
Well, yeah, I kind of have to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess so. That was.
She literally said the other day if she was ever like on a game show and the question was you have to call one person and if they pick up the phone you win like X amount of dollars. She said that she would call me
Oh,
because
really?
I would always pick up the phone.
Oh, that's great.
Is that true?
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It's.
And
it's-
if I don't, I'll
okay,
call
hold
right
on.
back.
It's 12:49 on a Saturday night.
I'm most
Right.
likely awake.
You're hanging with your friends,
Yep.
right? Downtown Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, phone rings.
Yep.
It's your mom.
I would immediately answer because I would think something's wrong. She's never up that late.
Oh, okay, wrong time.
Well, let's see what
It would make me think something was wrong, so of course I would answer the
let's
phone.
see what she has to say about that.
She'd be like, "Where are you at? What do you do?"
She's got my location.
Oh, okay.
She can see where I am.
Yeah, she's in the middle of downtown Charlotte. She's worried.
No.
What about your dad?
Let's see what she has to say about that. She's actually here around the corner.
He would
Let's
be
figure
worried.
out.
I don't know if he would be worried if he could see where I am, then he's not going to call and say, "Where are you?"
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to waste his time.
My kids stopped sharing their locations with me.
So something would happen to you, I guess, like your mom would call the cops after
Yes.
a day.
After 2 days.
2 days.
How long would it take her?
What do you mean?
How long would it take her?
To call the cops?
Yeah.
Probably a day.
One day.
Yeah, probably
So you're
one
twice
day.
as fast as
Yeah, probably one day.
you're twice as fast as our brand ambassador there who
Yeah.
started his own gig.
That is very random. I mean, the fact that you'd ghost your employer that you're talking to is like one thing, but like your family doesn't hear from you and you're like, oh, I started a company.
Yeah, for someone who was so like really all about it the whole time, it would
Yeah,
feel like
and
you're like
following
it'd be
up
so
throughout-
easy to go to the GM and go, instead of just ghosting the guy, just be like,
Yeah.
you know what? After 2 days of training, I realized this isn't for me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you would,
I'm
you would think
I'm
he
gonna
would
rent a
speak up.
I'm gonna rent a Lamborghini and pretend it's mine and go on social media.
Yep.
See if I can get off.
Yeah, you think he would
rebrand.
speak up after after she said he had followed up multiple times throughout the whole hiring process,
Yeah.
which she said was a months-long process.
Yeah.
Because she said that they
That's also
would tell them like their start date would be months from now.
There's
because
been a
they're-
couple stories where, like, someone ghosted and the company actually got worried. I think we were talking about the other day. I was like, what a good culture of that company. Their first response was to be worried for the person.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to do a wellness check and, you know, I don't know.
I think anytime we have a story on this show about somebody ghosting somebody, that always seems like the most relatable one. Because I think anything in the recruiting and hiring world that has to do with ghosting and like just never hearing back from somebody you thought was going well on either side, whether it's like the candidate or like the
happens
employer,
both ways.
all the time. And I mean, I've been there before. Like I was looking for jobs, like, oh, this is going so well. Like I nailed that interview, and you just like never hear from them again.
I ghosted you, and I think
That's why I had to follow back. I showed up at your doorstep, like, hey, about that job.
I ghosted him. He stalked me.
Got my Lamborghini.
That's so funny. All right, who's up today? Is this you?
Oh, is it me now?
Yeah, I think so.
Got some.
All right, I've got 2 stories. I'll start with this one. I haven't reread this one before beginning this episode, so I don't really remember it.
So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
So we're expecting a lot of stumbling with long words.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Today I had to fire an employee who was with me for almost exactly a year. I have a team of 14 employees. We had several verbal warning conversations in different iterations, and I saw improvement at first. Recently, we had some major issues with them arriving late, running behind with clients, and charging inappropriately. We had a written warning meeting, which was met with a lot of defensiveness from the employee. For context, it's a hair salon.
Okay.
Today, I asked them if they were going to finish their client in time or if they'd be running behind. They assured me they'd be finished on time. They were a full half hour late for their next client and charged the first client who they had spent 7 hours with incorrectly. I had my manager meet at work, and we met with the stylist and let them go. They acted surprised, but we reminded them of every meeting we had leading up to it. Frankly, I was very sad to have let them go, but it's not sustainable. The morale has already been low, and I know this will be a big blow. It's a small team, and several of them are very good friends with the person who was just fired. I'm not sure how to show up for the team wait. See, now I'm already struggling. To let them know this really shouldn't have been a surprise for the person who got fired. I know I have to be vague. I don't want anyone to be worried about their job. And then it just ends with the question, any tips for getting morale up and making sure the team still trusts us?
Wait, to go back, was that a 7-hour haircut that they gave?
Yeah, no kidding.
It doesn't
No, I
have,
think for
it
you,
was
that's,
probably a color, some type of color.
7 hours?
I would tell
I mean,
you that I
some-
don't
some-
think that Emma's surprised at all. I think she's like, no, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
7 hours.
Is that true?
That's
Sometimes hair appointments take really long. It depends on what type of color you're doing. Like, definitely if you're like bleaching it, you'll probably have to go through it several times because the first round of bleach probably will make it look
Well,
yellow
you
or
could get a
orange.
cut, then you could have to have your
And
hair.
then you can have it cut.
You have your hair, your
And then
your
styled.
extensions put in.
And yes, so that takes a long
That
time
takes a long
too.
time.
yeah.
So
And then they
they're
probably
pulling them out. They're doing your hair.
I mean, I
Yeah.
They're
guess.
putting
And then
them
they
in.
probably
then
style
they
it,
do a
which also
dye,
takes a
then they
while.
can do the dye, whatever the color, and then
I just imagine sitting like in the hair chair from for like a 9 to 5, just like sitting there, just like working on my head the whole time. That just seems like a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It happens.
I missed
Does it
everything
takes
about the
like
story.
6
I was
minutes
caught
with
up
your
there.
haircut, I think, right?
Yeah, it was like get sides and get out of there. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh. All right.
My next story, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it,
All right. We hired a senior engineer, let's call him Bob,
Bob. Okay.
based on a long resume and one repeated claim. Whenever we asked how much of a project he'd done, the answer was always all of it. For a small company, that sounded perfect. But once Bob started, things unraveled fast.
Oh no, Bob.
His code wouldn't compile because he insisted header files were optional, quote unquote optional. In hardware reviews, he'd randomly reroute boards and add components just because. Months in, he still needed constant help with basic tools, and his simple code task turned into a total rewrite that made everything worse. That's when we realized something was off. Later, I met one of his former coworkers who casually mentioned he had written all of the code at Bob's startup. Turns out, when Bob said he did all of it, he meant he told other people what to do.
Gotcha. Who's manager?
Lesson learned, always ask what all of it actually means.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah. So what'd you do? It's all been done. It's been done by somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
What did you
experience in
do?
that?
All of it?
Yes, I have watched
All of
people
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had that. Remember the story where it's real similar. The guy was supposed to be a coding expert, and he was like, "Well, I had seen people do it,
Yeah, I've seen
so I
others.
assumed I
Yeah.
could."
Oh, yeah.
I've seen some TikToks about coding. I know all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 3-month boot camp.
Yeah, I could get it done.
How much that
I'll
project
figure it
you
out.
do? I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's also a common theme where it's just people overstating what they know how to do in one way or another.
Yeah,
Like they either completely make it up or they
bro,
delegate
go on
it.
Reddit and read some of these threads for people who talk about getting jobs, and they will straight up tell you, "Oh, just lie and say you can do it all."
Yeah.
Once you
Here's
get,
how I lied.
once you get there, they can't fire you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, they can't.
Here's how I lied on my resume and got the job.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's right.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Always ask what all of it means. How much of that? How much of the social media you're doing now?
What do you mean?
How much of all of the social media posting are you doing now?
All of it.
That's what Emma does.
All of it.
We were saying last time if you see a snarky reply to your snarky comment, that's Emma being snarky back to you.
That's
definitely
Emma.
me.
That's Emma doing all of it.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, that's it for us today.
Yep.
That was good.
That's fun. We got some
Yeah,
stories.
it's good. It was
Yeah.
quick. All right. So thanks for listening to The Bad Hire, and please subscribe. Do that. You can subscribe to us, rate, review, share it, watch it. We're watching our engagement kind of grow every month. It's kind of cool and fun to watch. And don't forget, your story could win $10,000. So submit it at thebadhire.com.
Yep.
Check it out. Come do a segment on the show like we saw today. We got those kind of stacked up now, and let's get you on the show to tell your story. But that's it for today. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.